I have absolutely no idea where we're going. Well, a little tiny idea. Hi, everybody. It's sun's just coming up. It's the 25th of April, 2024, here in the southeast United States. Be well. The well message of the kingdom. Now, the well message of the kingdom, the reason I say that is the word that was translated gospel technically is translated well message. And when I discovered that years ago, it started expanding because everything in the scriptures has an expanse behind it. The depths of the scriptures are, wow, vast. There are people that take something that has been revealed to them and they build this huge thing. This is what that means. Well, yeah, somebody else gets something different from the same phrase or sentence or paragraph, and they say, no, 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 this is what it means. And they could both be right. There are depths to the message. Depths and heights. Anyway, it's the well message of the kingdom. There are more than two kingdoms. Technically, there's the kingdom of light, the kingdom of darkness, and each of us is the king of our kingdom, the kingdom of I. And unfortunately, for the most of my life, the kingdom of I has ruled. Wow, that's another story. But anyway, there are basically, other than the kingdom of I, there are two kingdoms, kingdom of light, kingdom of darkness. And the revealing of the kingdom of light takes seeking. You can't get these hidden messages behind the scripture unless you are seeking the heart of the author. Okay, so I was seeking the heart of the author this morning, and for some reason it's like, okay, video time. John 21:1. Now, for the Hebrew people that happen to be watching this, the Jewish people, if you will, John, this is the New Testament, and I know you're forbidden to read the New Testament, but John, or Yohanan, is a Jewish guy, okay? This is his personal, he was an eyewitness. He walked with Yeshua, Jesus, as we say in English. He was not only an eyewitness, he was one of the three closest ones to Yeshua when he was here, and he wrote down this document about all the things he was a part of and saw and knew. Okay? So, Yohanan, a Jewish guy, this is his book of reference of the things that happened almost 2,000 years ago. Just saying. So, John, Yohanan, chapter 21. Let's start with verse 1. I don't know where we're going, but it's going to be fun. I like it when it's like that. When I get up in the morning to sit with Daddy, I pull out my little software package laptop thing with the Hebrew and the Greek, and many of you have heard me say that, and I have no idea where we're going, but this is where I was taken, and it was like, video time, John 21:1. After these things, so whenever I see something like that, I want to back up and look after what things. We're not going to do that. We're supposed to start here and move forward. After these things, Yeshua, or Jesus, showed himself again to the disciples, the learners under discipline. That's what that word means. Showed himself again. Now, he has died. He has been raised from the dead, and he is periodically showing himself to these these guys and other people, there were like 500 people that interacted with him between the resurrection after the Pesach, where he was crucified, and the Pentecost day, as they call it, the 50th day, 50 days later, another holiday of Yisrael. He showed himself to like 500 people, and it's documented. I mean, so John, Yohanan, one of the disciples, is writing this down, and after these things, Yeshua showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. I think that's also called the Sea of Galilee. Big, huge body of fresh water. And on this wise he showed himself. There were together Simon Peter and Thomas, called Didymus. I think Didymus means twin. So I think Thomas was a twin. And Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, which would be James and John, John being the writer of this, and two other of his disciples. And I read that verse and I was about to move forward and like, bup, 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 bup. That means Selah, put the brakes on, hold up, look at that again. Okay, let's look at it again. There were together Simon Peter, Thomas, oh, don't go out on me, Nathanael, James, John, and two other unnamed disciples. That's 7. Just saying. Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. I mean, Yeshua's dead. They've been traveling with him for a long time, seen all these amazing miracles, food multiplied, people raised from the dead. I mean, you could go on and on and on and on and on about what they had seen. And now Yohanan, this guy that wrote this, he was actually at the crucifixion. I mean, and it was over. And yet Yeshua had showed himself to him, but that's kind of crazy. They don't know what's going on. Don't blame them. Most of the time I don't either. But anyway, they're like, well, we better get back to work. We better do what we know how to do. We got bills to pay. We got to make some money. So Peter said, I'm going fishing. And they said, we're going with you. And they went forth and entered into the ship, the boat, whatever you want to call it, immediately. Interesting word. They went forth and entered into a ship immediately, and that night they caught nothing. Every word's amazing if you really read slowly. And that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Yeshua stood on the shore. But the disciples did not know it was Yeshua, Jesus. They didn't know. I mean, they're coming in, the sun, maybe the sun's not up, but the first light, as I call it, is coming, and they see this person, this guy on the shore. I mean, they're heading in. They've been up all night. They have caught nothing. They didn't know it was him. Then he, Yeshua, said to them, this is so interesting. I wondered why this choice of word was used. Then Yeshua said to them, children, have you any food? And they answered, no. And I was like, children? And then I looked in the Greek. That's why I like this Greek Hebrew software thing. I looked at the Greek word for, and it's technically translated, not translated children, but it's translated little boys. Children, lest you humble yourself like a little child, you can't enter into the kingdom. And I have come to understand over the past few years that if you want to enter into the secret place of Big Daddy, secret place of the Most High, seated together with them, if you want to put all that together, you must humble yourself as a little child. You can't come in there with adult stuff. Chew on that a little bit. So anyway, use this word, children. Children, do you have any food? Little boys. And they answered no. And he said to them, throw your net on the right side of the ship, and you shall find. Wow, this is fresh bread. I told you I didn't know where we were going. Throw your net on the right side. Think about this. They're in the ship. They've been throwing it on the left side all night long. Maybe, that's conjecture. They've been throwing the net out all night long, and they have caught nothing. And they're pulling up, and it's first light at least. And this guy on the shore, that they don't know who it is, he says, take your net and throw it on the right side, and you will find. You'll get some fish. The right side. Okay, the right hand of the Father. Think about that a little bit. Where is the secret place? On the right hand of Yeshua? Think about that a little bit. There's a lot here. I mean, there's so much here. We could talk 7 hours on what's being revealed in just these first few verses. Throw the net, or this King James says, cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast, therefore. Throw the net on the right side of the ship, and you'll find fish. And they did that. And now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of the fish. Excuse me. Therefore, that disciple whom Jesus loved, that would be Yohanan, or John, referring to himself, said to Peter, it's the Lord. Now, when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his fisher's coat, for he was naked. I don't know what that means. And threw himself into the sea, into the water. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits. All that's there for a reason. If you want to get some great stuff from Big Daddy's heart, just slowly read stuff like that. I'm not going to do that here, but that verse is pregnant. Something about Simon Peter, when he realized it was Yeshua, he took his fisher's coat and put it on him, for he was naked, and did throw himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship. Just camp out there a little bit. I'm showing you some things. For they were not far from the land, as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with the fishes. As soon as they were come to the land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid on the coals, and bread. Fish and bread. Think about that for a second. Fish and bread. Remember, hey, let's feed everybody. Well, we don't have any food. Well, what do you have? We've got this little kid here, this little child, with these fish and bread. I'm telling you, there's so much here. I mean, you could take thousands of lifetimes and just scratch the surface of what all is written for us. Anyway. Ah, fish and bread laid on the coals. And Yeshua said to them, "Bring the fish which you've now caught." Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes. That means big fish. 153. And for all there were so many, and even yet, I'm going to paraphrase, and even though there were so many big, huge fish in the net was not broken. So much here. And I'm sitting down with Daddy first thing this morning after I come in and get my Be Well cup of coffee. This is not coffee. I'm through with the coffee. And the 153 fish thing was just on me. 153 fish. Why 153 fish? Daddy, 153 fish. 150. And I was taken here. John 21:1. Just start reading. Ho, ho, ho. Video time. Video time. I don't even know what we're doing. It doesn't matter. Video time. So here we are. We are gathered together in this little Bible study. Video time. 153 fish. Why 153? So I got my little iPad out and I'm looking for, 153 fish meaning in the Bible. What does that mean? And boy, oh gosh, there's all kind of things. I won't go into them. But I just kind of like, okay, I'm putting that away and just turned my heart toward the author and said, 153 fish. It's not here by chance. I mean, can I get a little level of understanding as per 153 fish and why? 1, 5, 3. And it hit me. This is just, I'm not saying this is the meaning. I'm not saying that. There are different depths, levels of meaning to everything that has been written for us. It's amazing. That's part of the amazing well message of the kingdom. It is multi-layered. But you got to be seeking the heart of the author to have those layers revealed. 153, 1, 5, 3. And immediately my mind went to the design of a human hand that I saw sitting with Daddy like this one morning. This finger is kind of like the judicial finger. It's the pointing finger. It's the finger that says, look here, look there. Hey, you. That represents Big Daddy. The ring finger, as we call it, the sign of the groom wedding the bride, represents Yeshua. And I'm not saying this is this is just a level. Big Daddy, Yeshua, and the Ruach HaKodesh, the breath of the Father, the Holy Spirit as we refer to him. He made himself really small. He never says anything in and of himself. He only says what he hears the Father say, which is what Yeshua did when he was here. Yeshua only said what he heard the Father say. He only did what he saw the Father do. And the Ruach, the breath, the wind of the Father, he only says what the Father says. Made himself small. Well, what about this finger and this? Well, it's not even called a finger, it's called a thumb. This finger represents the bride. This finger is the most elevated finger of all. Before the creation ever took place, Big Daddy knew that a certain angel, would turn into the adversary. And Big Daddy knew that there was going to have to be a separation between light and darkness, because there was this angel going to emerge and announce that he was going to be like the Most High. That's why he copies everything Daddy does. It's just what they do. So in the unfolding of all creation, the most important part of the creation event was the finality of the bride of the Messiah and becoming one with the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. For this bride to be so elevated, for Yeshua to actually come and wash her dirty feet. She has to become, we have to become like a little child. In that de-elevation, he has elevated us. If, biggest word in the Bible, if we seek the heart of the Father, the heart of the author, wow, more than anything else, seeking that low place, that humble place, if we seek that place, and if we find that place, that is where elevation comes. Low position comes before high position. So that represents the bride. And I could talk for hours about the bride, but we'll leave it there. Well, what about this thing? I mean, notice these four move in the same direction. They can all together be low. They can all together be raised up. They can be individual. They can be together. They move together. They flow together. And yet this one over here, man, it just can go any old way. This represents those yet still in the world system that have this in control, of which we all have been, especially me. This represents the people that don't know them yet. Father can reach out and touch those people. We can touch them. Yeshua can touch them. The Ruach, the Spirit, can touch them. But boy, when we all find that low place and come together. Did you hear that? Come together as one. Read John 17. Then we together, touching them, can feed them.